Second language acquisition and learning styles. This video is about second language acquisition and different kinds of learning styles. Learning a second or foreign language has been a common interest of many people, and scholars have been presenting various theories about second language acquisition. In this video, first of all, basic concepts which are closely related to second language acquisition theories will be briefly presented. And then, different learning styles of language learners will be presented. Lastly, the implication of existence of various learning styles will be presented. What is second language? All languages that learners learn after their native languages are called second language or L2. Sometimes there are people who speak two or more languages, but their third or fourth languages are collectively called second language. Krashen distinguishes between the concepts of acquisition and learning. Acquisition is to pick up a language in a natural context. On the other hand, learning is an intentional process of language studying. Let's assume that there is a Korean learner who is learning English. Then English is the learner's target language. If this learner is learning English in the United States, where the target language is the society's main language, he or she is in the second language acquisition context. On the other hand, if the learner is learning English in Korea, where the learner's target language is not the society's main language, he or she is in the foreign language acquisition context. As mentioned earlier, there is a difference in meaning between concepts, but second language acquisition or SLA means the acquisition or learning of any language other than a learner's first language that can take place in both second and foreign language contexts. Learning style is cognitive, affective, and physiological traits that are relatively stable indicators of how learners perceive, interact with, and respond to the learning environment. That is, learning style is a particular way of processing information. Each person has a different learning style, and various learning styles will be explained throughout this video. Field independence versus field sensitivity. Learners with field independence learning style have a tendency to distinguish parts from a whole. In other words, FI learners are good at analyzing the details. If you're good at finding a subtle difference between the two similar pictures, then you have a FI learning style. Learners with field sensitivity learning style have a tendency to understand the whole and general picture, and FS learners tend to be sociable. In terms of second language learning, FI learners show success in paper and pencil tests using their analytical abilities, and FS learners show success in communicative aspects using their social abilities. Left brain dominance versus right brain dominance. As getting older, the human brain becomes lateralization. Therefore, some people use the left brain mainly, which is called left brain dominance, and others use the right brain mainly, which is called right brain dominance. These are some features of left and right brain dominance. Left brain dominant people have a tendency to be planned, structured, and analytical. Right brain dominant people have a tendency to be fluid, spontaneous, and intuitive. Reflectivity versus impulsivity. Reflective learners usually make a slow and planned decision, and impulsive learners usually make a fast and gambling decision. In terms of language learning, reflective learners make fewer errors than impulsive learners, and impulsive learners become faster readers than reflective learners. Ambiguity tolerant versus ambiguity intolerant. When you learn a second language, you may see words with different meanings from your native language or rules with exceptions. Learners with ambiguity tolerant style are open-minded about uncertainty and contradictory information, and learners with ambiguity intolerant style are uncomfortable with uncertainty and contradictory information. For example, learners with low ambiguity tolerance have a tendency to search a dictionary whenever they meet an unfamiliar word. When learning a second language, proper amount of ambiguity tolerance is very important. Language learners prefer different type of learning materials. Visual style learners prefer reading and studying charts and drawings, so handout would be useful for these learners. Auditory style learners prefer listening to lectures and audio tapes. Lastly, kinesthetic style learners prefer physical activity, so activities which demand the participation of learners through moving their bodies would be helpful. The characteristics of various learning styles have been presented so far. Therefore, it is important for language learners to understand their own learning styles accurately. And it is important for language teachers to organize a class using activities that cover students with different learning styles to make sure that all language learners with different learning styles could learn second language effectively. References of the current video are as follows.